Hi there. Now we're going to do the lesson number 59, which is a review of lessons 41 through 45. Lesson 41. God goes with me wherever I go. How can I be alone when God always goes with me? How can I be doubtful and unsure of myself when perfect certainty abides in Him? How can I be disturbed by anything when He rests in me in absolute peace? How can I suffer when love and joy surround me through Him? Let me not cherish illusions about myself. I am perfect because God goes with me wherever I go. This is a statement of truths. Several truths, boom, 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 right after the other. How can I be alone if God is with me? How can I be doubtful and unsure of myself when God created me so perfectly certain and abides in me? And God is that perfection that we have decided is the creator of this perfect universe. How can I be disturbed by anything when He rests in me in absolute peace? If God is peace, if God goes with me where I go, if God is certainty, if God is love, joy, and surrounds me all the time, how could I cherish anything other than those things? Well, it's only because I don't know God and I have an opinion of God, so I projected this image of God. And when I begin to do the work of A Course in Miracles and I begin to see the truth and begin to know God, well, now I begin to realize that pure love, joy, perfection, certainty, peace are with me always. So where in me is that? Well, it's God inside of me. So our relationship is to come inside and get to know who God is within us, so that as Jesus taught in the New Testament in the Bible 2,000 some odd years ago, and here He is repeating it again, when we love God, we can love our neighbors as ourselves. So when we know God, it's because we know God inside of us. We come to love ourselves. From ourselves, we can project onto our neighbors love. That's just the way that it works. Isn't this a beautiful lesson? So let's look at the review of lesson 42, which is God is my strength, vision is His gift. Let me not look to my own eyes to see today. Don't look through the projector. Look through the vision of God in you. Let me be willing to exchange my pitiful illusion of seeing for the vision that is given by God. Christ's vision is His gift, and He has given it to me. Christ's vision is His gift. So Christ came to the world 2,000 years ago in physical form, told us all of these things, and offered to us the opportunity to see the world through the eyes of God. But we weren't ready. As a world, we weren't ready. We were ready for the message to begin to be planted as a seed. Some people did believe it, and of course, many of them perished because that was so radical, and it went against what religion was doing in the form of controlling people at the time. And Jesus came in and said, there's no need to control anybody because you're one with them anyways. Try to control them is a projection from you trying to control who you are, which means you're out of control because you don't know who you are. So here we're being told God is my strength, vision is His gift. So paragraph 2, sentence 5, Christ's vision is His gift, God's gift, and He has given it to me. Let me call upon this gift today so that this day may help me to understand eternity. So when I begin to look at the world through the eyes of Christ, through the eyes of Jesus, He came to say He was not a body, He was free, He was eternal, and all we're to do is love God as Himself. Love God as ourselves and then as our neighbors, because the kingdom of heaven is within. So when you begin to put all these things together, how did such a simple message get so distorted? Well, it was distorted by people who clearly did not understand the message. Number one, they had not felt it, so they couldn't understand it. Which is why doing these lessons diligently and letting them work in you is what will transform you. Because just reading about it is not going to change a thing. You got to go inside and do the work. Watch when you're projecting and judging out there, because that's when you need to shift from what you perceive to what is the vision inside of you. So it's a very deliberate act of shifting your perception, shifting from the lower densities of fear and lifting into the higher frequencies of love, deliberately looking for what is lovely from the eyes of love in you. So now let's go to paragraph 3. This is a review of lesson 43. God is my source. I cannot see apart from Him. I can see what God wants me to see. I can clearly see what God wants me to see. Why? Because God created me with that vision. I am the one who blocks it. Ego is my choice, my decision to block what is already true in me according to God. So I cannot see anything else except for what God created unless I block it. Beyond his will lie only illusions. So God's will is for me to see clearly, but now there's this illusion. It is these I choose when I think I can see apart from him. So the illusion is my perception, my projection upon what God already created, beautiful and holy. It is these I choose when I try to see through the body's eyes. If I'm thinking I'm seeing through my body's eyes, then I am believing illusions. Yet the vision of Christ has been given me to replace them, to replace how I see with my eyes. It is through this vision that I choose to see. So this is a very deliberate, very, very deliberate process of making sure that when I'm looking out there, I am looking with the eyes of holiness, looking at everybody as innocent, getting caught up in their own illusions as I was caught up in my own illusions. So paragraph number 4, this is lesson, God is the light in which I see. Obviously, all of these go together beautifully. I cannot see in darkness. Of course we can't see in darkness. We're bumping up against each other. We're seeing illusions. We're making up obstacles that are unnecessary. But God is the only light. So if God is a light and I cannot see in darkness, shouldn't I remove these dark glasses off of my eyes so that I can see what God has created in light? Because God is only light. Therefore, if I am to see, it must be through him. I need to see how God sees, because God is the light that I can then observe clearly. I have tried to define what seeing is, and I have been wrong. This is a statement that I'm making, that you're invited to make. I have been trying to define what seeing is, and I have been wrong. I made some mistakes. Now it is given me to understand that God is the light in which I see. Oh, Jesus, through A Course in Miracles, is telling me once again, told me 2,000 years ago, but we were, hard-headed, so now we're hearing the same message. God is giving me the light. Let me turn it on. How do I turn the light on? I see with the eyes of God, which means I have to turn on the vision. I need to look at people and deliberately look for their innocence, deliberately look for their holiness. I must move through my projection of them and move beyond that until I find the holiness in them. Let me welcome vision and the happy world it will show me. So when you know that you are welcoming a happy world by you seeing truly what is there, which is what God created, oh my gosh, of course you're going to be happy. I mean, there's what else is there to experience except for happiness when the world is seen through the eyes of peace, of joy, of holiness? I mean, it's just guaranteed. Now, of course, this process takes time because you're training your mind to see differently, to perceive differently. But the promise is that if you're happy, you're going to see happy things. You've experienced that, I'm sure, many times. Put 2 and 2 together. Happy people see happy people. Hurt people hurt other people because they can't see happiness. If anybody appears to be happy, they want to hurt it so that it can be a projection of who they are. Paragraph 5, God is the mind with which I think. I have no thoughts I do not share with God. I have no thoughts I do not share with God. Everything that I think, I'm sharing with God. I have no thoughts apart from him. My thoughts are God's thoughts. Now, we're going to clarify this in a minute because I have no mind apart from his. So God's mind is offering me thoughts that are in alignment with God. As part of God's mind, his mind, my thoughts are his and his thoughts are mine. So what has happened? What are the ego thoughts? Ego thoughts are the blocks. It's what me thinking without God is me. God did not create darkness. So there is no source of darkness. You can't go to the store and buy a can of darkness. There's not even a dark switch. You cannot plug your blender into the darkness switch so that it won't work. That's not the way it happens. Darkness is an absence of light. What that means is God created light. But when we are not seeing light, we are experiencing darkness. Darkness is not real. It's the absence of light. So this here, when you're not thinking with God, the thoughts that everything is beautiful, holy, wonderful, innocent, already saved, already forgiven, you're thinking with your own thoughts that block. It's your perception, it's your imagination, it's your point of reference from your limited sense of self. That is what's blocking the thoughts that you could be thinking with God. Thank you so much for doing these lessons. Again, they are all so powerful. They all build on each other, and these review periods are really meant to help us get this at a deeper level, simpler level, and just continue the practice of remembering to get our minds comfortable with truth so that our heart can begin the process of opening up. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you at the next lesson.